This edition of Tech Talk is brought to you by GlobalSpeak.com, new media consultants, corporate video and audio communications, video and audio production and distribution, live and virtual event production. Tag TV and Tag Radio is a service of GlobalSpeak.com, creatively delivering powerful marketing, video, and audio solutions. Scott, welcome to Tech Talk.
Thanks, Frank.
Fiber, you hear about it just about every day. I think there isn't a business in any one of the verticals throughout the entire technology industry that is not concerned about speed, capacity, flexibility, security, just the list goes on and on. New apps, new technologies like the Internet of Things. Obviously, getting it from one point to the other is going to become, as it has been, crucial for many years. But as time progresses, obviously, it's going to become more demanding and obviously more necessary than ever before. So for our general listening audience, let's go into a little bit about the fiber story, if you will, and maybe focus on the dark fiber aspect.
Sure, Frank. Dark fiber today is really the medium for the industry to support all those Internet of Things and the things you just mentioned, to support the transport of data, video streaming, fiber to the tower. All of those things really leverage, including wireless technology, believe it or not, a fiber backbone, and specifically a dark fiber backbone. And you might want to ask, well, why dark fiber? Well, the answer is a lot of enterprises today, they want to have complete control over their network, over their communications infrastructure, without having anyone in the middle of that process. So the control of the network, the speed of the network, if you want to make changes to a network, you can change out equipment on the fiber as opposed to incurring these large traditional fixed costs with a regular carrier. So if you're looking to grow a lot or you scale a lot, dark fiber is the medium of choice to support local and national and international infrastructure so that basically the connected society can function efficiently and capably with quality, speed, flexibility, and endurance.
Well, you know, you mentioned a little bit of this. Obviously, wireless is taking over the normal mediums for voice and data and video. But maybe let's go into, and you kind of touched it on the surface, but if you will, Scott, go into a little bit more detail as why is it still important for the enterprise or for government or even carriers and the wireless providers?
Well, as I said, we're a critical communications infrastructure. Strome Networks is, and dark fiber is in general. So anyone in the dark fiber community, we're the backbone. I hate to be trite or just a trite phrase, but we are the backbone of the communications infrastructure in the United States. And we are particularly here in the Southeast. So the economic development that occurs in communities, it really starts these days with bandwidth and Internet access. So for rural broadband, if you want content delivery, you really need a dark fiber network to get you there. The wireless doesn't always do it. It's not enough. And the high-performance fixed infrastructure can support the bottlenecks and alleviate the bottlenecks for the wireless business just for backhaul. So fiber to the tower over a dark fiber network makes a critical difference. Dark fiber is important to support all the things that make our society go today. Cloud computing, increased demand for storage, data transfer, applications to support wireless. All of these things are what is driving the growth in the communications sector. I'll give you a couple of simple stats. Data center traffic and IP traffic is forecast to grow 3 times over the next 5 years, in excess of a 25% compounded annual growth rate. Cloud IP traffic is supposed to grow 4 times up to 2019, over a 33% compound annual growth rate. So with the bandwidth demand increasing, dark fiber is the immediate and future solution to meet those growth constraints. So the more connected we are, the greater need for increased bandwidth and the greater need for dark fiber networks like the ones that we own here in the Southeast.
Well, one of the things that you often hear, not as much today as you used to, and that is that the CEO doesn't really want to know how it works, they just want to know what it does. and especially the two things, and that is how does it make me money and how does it save me money. And so I guess really let's go into a little bit of an exploration for a few seconds of some of our listeners that from a technical standpoint kind of generally get it, but from a specific standpoint really are kind of questioning, the whole thing's getting confusing. Ubiquitous speaking, I want my technology to work. I mean, I guess where's dark fiber now? Where is it going, and how's it going to get there? What's going to be the next steps over the next few years that will continue to have its leadership or dominance in the marketplace?
Well, great question. Most companies today, they need a network that's going to meet their needs, be cost efficient, and we don't have to talk about the bits and the bytes and synchronous or asynchronous or all those buzzwords. Most companies today and large content providers, they really don't want their network provider in their way. They just say, give me the pipe, I'll manage my services, but you build the network. So I'll buy it end to end from you, and we'll deal with the rest of it to handle our own customers' needs. So what they gain with that is control of their own network, but having the speed and the reliability of fiber so they can manage their own growth. And all your large content providers from Amazon to Apple to Facebook to Google to Akamai, all these different people, they want the bandwidth and the ability to reach point A to point B, but they're really agnostic as to whatever specialty, technologies you may employ in the process. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, Frank, you'll have companies that don't have the scale or critical mass of large companies like that. So rather than engage in a dark fiber solution, they'll engage with someone else to light the fiber, put optronics onto the fiber and make it work and avoid the capital investment for that fiber backbone. So it gives companies an opportunity to get the advantages of a fiber interconnection, not having to build or manage a wide area network, but avoid those large upfront dollars for both the investment in the network and the investment in all the equipment to light the fiber, not to mention the cost of the repairs and maintenance and operations of the network. So today, dark fiber fulfills a niche that no other technology or medium really effectively competes with. So today, and I would suggest to you in the next 10 years, this is the medium that is going to drive our connected society and support it.
Well, talk a little bit, one of the things that happens when the tsunami of what's next comes on the scene, if you're an entrepreneur, a top executive decision maker, it's a cliche, but we can't keep up with the change. You can't keep up with the new and the latest technologies. You can't keep up with what is the most competitive or the most effective way to compete in the marketplace from a technology standpoint. Let's talk for a second about the whole idea of network providers. I think a lot of them are aggressive. A lot of our listeners are either being contacted by or marketed to. Is there a difference between network providers? And maybe go into what, if I were looking to move into, say, the dark fiber space, why one versus another network?
Well, what you want, Frank, in any provider is you want quality, you want reliability, you want speed, and you want responsiveness. In many cases, as I just mentioned, you also want control, a greater level of control. So today, when you're looking for a network provider, you want someone who is truly interconnected to as many different key data centers, destinations. Our world is destination-driven. The electronic world is really no different. You want people that can support your needs as a company or an enterprise or a government or a community, that as we grow the needs of my network and the capability of my network, keep up with that process. So when you're looking for who's next and what's next, to stay on the leading edge of really the network and technology, dark fiber, you need to be responsive to your customers' needs and provide them with where they need to go. So many times our customers will dictate to us, where do we build next? why do we build? Whether we're extending the long-haul reach of our network currently goes from Miami to Atlanta, but we have designs to associate ourselves with another company to go from Atlanta to Ashburn, Virginia, to reach all the critical data centers and content providers in the mid-Atlantic states. Very important for us in this side of the U.S.
If you're in a position to do it, and share with our audience maybe some of the things that you do have on in the plans. I mean, like, for example, any additional construction plans for dark fiber, and I guess probably, if you can share it with us, what's on the drawing board and actually in the planning stages?
Sure, Frank. We currently have a single mode fiber in the southeast going Miami all the way to Atlanta. We're in discussions today to extend with another network that's going to be completed in the first quarter of next year, Atlanta to Ashburn. So we're going to marry our two networks in some fashion. How that's going to be done yet is to be determined. But what that's going to do is provide critical services, so there's a one-stop shop to go with one carrier from the NAP of the Americas, if you will, all the way to the NAP in the Northeast, all the way to Ashburn, Virginia. We are looking at regional builds in our business, and it's been this true for 25 years. You want to build depth within your region, and you want to extend your reach, but we're sticking to our knitting, and inside the region, we're looking at builds to extend from our network backbone over to the west coast of Florida. We will build laterals from customers, hospitals, governments, enterprises, universities to extend from their premise to our backbone and give them and a lot of rural America the opportunity to get very competitive internet access in the rural areas of both Florida and Georgia. But in general, the fiber for where we go next is not determined by what we want to do, but where our customers have needs.
You know, the fluidity that all of this new technology is offering enterprise in terms of investment in technology or lowering the investment and being able to adapt quickly because of the cloud and so many other features that can be brought to play because of the dark fiber capacity and speed. I guess really, without question, one of the things that we talk about, because it's true, is that the only constant is change. I'll even often say you have to have a constant, and I'm not even sure that change stays still that long enough that you could have a standard to say, well, that changed because everything is, quote unquote, so 20 minutes ago. If, again, you're in a position to explore it, you've talked now in a form of physical expansion through collaboration or merger or acquisition, the way it's going to unfold, but when you make an investment, when you expand, maybe not so flexible. Once the commitment's made, you're pretty much made that commitment as far as a location or geographic marketplace is concerned. Let's talk a little bit about, as far as Strome Networks but specifically is concerned, how are you adapting and growing to what is now, but also what's going to be ahead in that 10-year period that you just talked about?
Well, we at Strome Networks, Frank, made an investment in a geographic area. We clearly have a very significant investment in the state of Florida and in the state of Georgia. Just last week, I did what a process that I call riding the rail. I literally rode from Jacksonville along the rail path and along 41 from southern Georgia, from Fargo through to Valdosta to Tifton. I went through rural Georgia all the way to Warner Robins. And along that route, when you follow where our infrastructure is, we've made a commitment to communities that we're in. We will be as important to the growth of these regions as the interstate highway system was to the United States when it opened up. So the winners in this industry and in the dark fiber community, at the end of the day, are going to be those networks and providers that have the deepest penetration, the most interconnectedness, and the highest reach. So our decisions to make investments incrementally to this really are driven by our customers, whether we're talking about the city of Valdosta or we're talking about the National Lambda Rail Association, and how colleges and universities interconnect, or hospitals interconnect. There are other hospitals and association. We believe that dark fiber networks are going to be the winner and the ultimate winner in this game of technology in the next 10 years.
I can, when you say rural, I mean, immediately I'm thinking of telemedicine and health IT, even fintech as far as payments and those kind of things, and as far as keeping from an economic development standpoint, inbound investment. A lot of the players obviously are absolutely tied to a connection of one kind or another. They're not going to come for land cost or for employees anymore. They are certain those are elements to it, but if you don't have the high-speed capability, you're not going to be in the selection process. And so I can see how that reaching out, especially to some of the rural markets in both Georgia and Florida, has got to be an immense impact on the prospect of those economies over the next several years. Scott, lots of excitement, lots of buzz. I hear a lot about Strome and what you guys are doing. As far as Miami and Florida is concerned, I know the commitment is strong, but I think the loyalty and the understanding of the investment that you guys are making in that area is not you're not going unnoticed, and because you hear a lot about it on the street. So one of the things I want to say is thanks so much for all of the things that you're doing, but also for as busy and as crazy as the times are, thank you for taking time out of, I know, a very hectic schedule to join us for a couple of minutes today on Tech Talk.
Frank, thanks so much. If you want to know more, you can visit us at www.stromenetworks.com. Thank you very much.